You're looking for a guitar that won't quit on you after a few gigs, that feels comfortable enough to practice every night, and that actually gives you the tone you're after without spending a fortune on a vintage relic. That hesitation, wondering if the Hollowbody will get too noisy, if the neck will suit your hand, if the price is really justified, is what keeps a lot of players stuck on the fence. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, and I'm going to walk through the real-world stuff that matters after you pull the box out of the case. First off, Hollowbody electrics have a reputation for sounding amazing in clean settings but turning into a feedback nightmare when you crank the amp. The Artcore AM2000H tries to walk that line by pairing a figured Ibanez top with a pair of humbucking pickups. The humbuckers are a practical choice. They still capture the airy resonance that a semi-hollow body is famous for, but they cancel a lot of the hum that single coils would amplify in a live environment. In my own setup, I was able to sit in a 30-person coffee shop, run a clean Fender twin reverb through a modest 15-watt amp, and hear that sweet, woody midrange without the shriek you get from a typical P90. When I switched to a light overdrive for a bluesy solo, the feedback stayed manageable, though I had to keep the volume knob a touch lower than I would on a solid-body Les Paul. The neck on the AM2000H is a three-piece construction of mahogany and maple, topped with an ebony fingerboard. That combination isn't just a marketing line, it actually gives the neck a bit of extra rigidity, which you notice when you play faster chord changes or do string bends on the higher frets. The ebony fretboard feels smooth under the fingers, and the radius is comfortable for both chord-heavy rhythm work and single-note leads. I tried the guitar for an hour-long jam session with a small band, moving from clean jazz voicings to a mildly crunchy rhythm, and the neck didn't feel like it was pulling or getting dead in the middle of a phrase. For players with smaller hands, the profile is fairly slim, so it's not a neck that forces you to contort your grip. Now, let's talk about the body. The Ibanez top gives the instrument a striking brown sunburst look that holds up well under stage lights. More importantly, the hollow chamber adds that classic semi-hollow resonance you hear in a lot of jazz recordings. In a studio setting, the guitar's natural sustain is noticeable even when you mute the amp after a chord. There's a lingering warmth that can fill a mix without needing a lot of reverb. However, that same resonance means the guitar is a bit heavier than a solid body of comparable size, and the weight can be felt after a 3-song set. If you have a history of neck-related fatigue, you might want to try the guitar in the store and see if the balance feels right for you. Practical strengths become clearer when you think about the kinds of music you actually play. If you're a jazz guitarist looking for a reliable workhorse that can sit nicely under a clean amp and still cut through a small combo, this is a solid candidate. The tonal palette is warm, with a pronounced low-mid that adds body to chord melody lines, and the humbuckers give enough bite for soulful blues licks without turning the sound into a harsh screech. I used it on a recording of a bossa nova piece, and the guitar's natural acoustic echo gave the track a subtle, organic feel that would have required a separate microphone on a solid body. If you're a rock player who spends most of your time with high gain, you might find the AM2000H a bit limiting. The humbuckers handle moderate overdrive well, but when you push a high-gain pedal to the max, the hollow chamber can start to sing in ways that aren't musical. It's not that the guitar sounds bad, it just becomes less controllable, and you'll likely need a noise gate or a tighter amp setting. For metal or aggressive punk, a solid body with a tighter body cavity would be a safer bet. Value for money is where the Artcore really shines. At its price point, you're getting a genuinely crafted instrument with a multi-piece neck, a quality hardwood top, and decent hardware that doesn't feel like a budget aftermarket add-on. Compared to other semi-hollow guitars in the same range, the AM2000H offers a nicer aesthetic finish and a neck that feels more refined. You're not paying for a vintage brand name, you're paying for a set of thoughtful design choices that translate to usable tone in the day-to-day gig or practice room. That said, if you're just starting out and your budget is tight, there are entry-level solid bodies that will give you a reliable platform for learning without the extra cost of the hollow construction. A few practical weaknesses are worth noting before you decide. The bridge is a standard Tunomate style, which is reliable but can require occasional adjustments to maintain.